I stared at the moving truck parked in my driveway, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But there they were. My parents, my sister Amanda, her husband Tom, and their 3 kids, unloading furniture into my house. The house I bought after 6 years of saving every penny, working 80-hour weeks, and sacrificing every luxury. I'd only been gone for 2 days on a business trip. 2 days. And somehow, they decided this was acceptable. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Surprise, we're upgrading your bachelor pad into a real family home. Don't worry, we left your bedroom alone, for now. I felt sick. This was exactly what I'd been afraid of when I bought the 5-bedroom house. Everyone had questioned why I, a single 32-year-old man, needed so much space. It's an investment, I'd said. I'm thinking about my future. What I hadn't said was that I was tired of living in cramped apartments, tired of minimizing my existence to accommodate others. Taking a deep breath, I pulled into the driveway, parking behind the moving truck. Through the front windows, I could see my mother rearranging my furniture in my living room. Dad was directing Tom as they carried in what looked like Amanda's hideous floral couch, the one I'd refused to help move 3 times in the past 2 years. The front door was open, my sister's kids running in and out, tracking mud across my newly installed hardwood floors. I'd spent weeks choosing those floors, making sure they were perfect. Uncle Mark, my oldest niece, spotted me first. We're moving in. Mom says you have too much space anyway. I forced a smile, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Is that so? Amanda appeared in the doorway, beaming like she'd just done me some huge favor. Finally, we were wondering when you'd get back. Mom's making dinner, and we need help moving the kids' bunk beds upstairs. Amanda, I kept my voice level, controlled. What exactly is going on here? She rolled her eyes, that familiar dismissive gesture that had always made my blood boil. Oh, don't be dramatic. You know Tom lost his job, and our lease was up anyway. It just made sense. You have all this extra space, and family helps family, right? Right, family helps family. Like when I'd helped them with the down payment on their last house, which they'd lost because Tom decided to invest in his friend's cryptocurrency scheme. Or when I paid for their kids' private school tuition because Amanda insisted public school wasn't good enough. Or the countless times I covered their bills, bought groceries, paid for car repairs. I walked past her into my house. Mom was in the kitchen, humming as she stirred something on my stove. Dad and Tom were arguing about where to put the couch, which was now scratching up my floors. Everyone, I said, my voice carrying that dangerous calm I perfected over years of dealing with entitled clients, stop what you're doing. Right now. Mom looked up, frowning. Mark, honey, don't shout. The kids are trying to settle in. Settle in? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. And who exactly gave them permission to settle into my house? Don't be selfish, Dad grunted, still pushing the couch. You've got more space than you need, and your sister's family needs help. What were we supposed to do? Let them live on the street? I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. Let's talk about help, shall we? In the past year alone, I've helped this family with over $50,000. Amanda, would you like to see the itemized list? My sister's face flushed. That's different. We're family, you can't just. Can't what? I cut her off. Can't expect to live in my own house without you invading it? Can't expect basic respect for my property and privacy? Can't expect you to actually ask before making decisions about my life? Mark. Mom's voice took on that wounded tone she used when she wanted to make me feel guilty. We thought you'd be happy to help your sister. You're always so alone in this big house. I'm alone because I choose to be alone, I snapped. I bought this house with my money, which I earned working my job. While some people, I looked pointedly at Tom, can't seem to keep a job for more than 6 months. Tom stepped forward, puffing up like he was going to do something stupid. Hey, watch your mouth. Or what? I smiled, and he deflated slightly. You'll move out? Please threaten me with what I want. Amanda burst into tears, right on cue. She'd always been good at that, turning on the waterworks whenever she didn't get her way. I can't believe you're being so cruel. We're your family. Where are we supposed to go? I walked to my office, thankfully still untouched, and returned with a stack of papers. That's not my problem, but since you're all here, let's discuss the terms of your stay. Mom brightened. See, I knew you'd come around. Rent is $3,000 per room per month, I continued as if she hadn't spoken. Due tomorrow with first and last month's deposit. That's $15,000 up front for the 5 rooms you've decided to occupy, plus a $2,000 security deposit per room. The silence was spectacular. You're joking, Amanda whispered, her tears magically gone. You can't charge your own family rent. Actually, I can. And I am. I laid the papers on the kitchen counter. These are standard lease agreements. You have 2 choices, either sign and pay or get out. Now, Dad's face turned that dangerous shade of red that used to frighten me when I was younger. Now listen here, boy. No, you listen. I cut him off. I have security cameras installed throughout this house. I have footage of you breaking in. We used the spare key, Amanda protested, which you weren't given permission to use, making this breaking and entering. I also have documentation of all the money you've borrowed and never repaid. So here's what's going to happen. Either you sign these leases and pay market rate rent or you leave now. If you choose neither, I call the police and press charges. Mom started crying, real tears, not Amanda's theatrical ones. How can you do this to us? We're your family. Family? I laughed. Family respects boundaries. Family asks permission. Family doesn't take advantage of each other repeatedly and then play the victim when called out. I pulled out my phone again, this time opening my photos. Let me show you something interesting. These are screenshots of Amanda's social media posts from the past week. Planning this move, laughing about how you were going to take over my house because poor Mark doesn't know how to use all this space anyway. There are texts too discussing how you were going to help me by moving in and making me less antisocial. Amanda's face went pale. How did you? I have friends who follow you, I said simply. Friends who actually respect me and thought I should know what my family was planning. This is ridiculous. Tom finally spoke up. We're not paying $3,000 per room. That's insane. Then leave, I shrugged. But everything that's been moved in has already damaged my floors, walls, and door frames. So there's that $10,000 security deposit to discuss as well. $10,000, Dad sputtered. You've lost your mind. No, I said quietly. I found it. Found my spine too while I was at it. You have 1 hour to decide. Sign the leases and pay or get out. After that, I called the police. You wouldn't? Amanda whispered, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She knew I would. Try me. I checked my watch. 59 minutes left. Oh, and the kids need to stop running in and out. They've already tracked mud everywhere. And that's another $500 cleaning fee. Mark. Mom tried one last time. Please, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. Market rate rent for this area is actually $3,500 per room. I'm giving you a family discount. The next 45 minutes were chaos. Amanda alternated between crying and screaming. Tom paced and made threats he couldn't back up. Dad turned various shades of purple while Mom tried to guilt me with tales of how hard they'd worked to raise me. I sat at my kitchen counter, calmly drinking coffee and watching the security feed on my tablet as my sister's kids continued to damage my property. Time's almost up, I announced as the hour drew near. What's it going to be? They huddled in my living room, whispering furiously. Finally, Amanda approached, tears still streaming down her face. We'll leave, she said, trying to sound dignified. But it'll take time to get everything out. You have 30 minutes before I call the police, I replied, not looking up from my tablet. I suggest you focus on the essentials and come back for the rest tomorrow, during daylight hours, with my permission. You can't be serious, Tom exploded. It took us hours to move this stuff in. Should have thought about that before you broke into my house. I took another sip of coffee. 29 minutes. What followed was the fastest move out I've ever witnessed. Amazing how quickly people can move when motivated by the threat of arrest. I watched on the cameras as they grabbed clothes, toys, and personal items, leaving the furniture for later. As the last box was loaded into their truck, Amanda stopped in the doorway. I hope you're happy, she spat. You've just lost your family. I finally looked up, meeting her eyes. No, Amanda, I just found my self-respect. There's a difference. They left, the moving truck pulling away just as the sun was setting. I closed and locked the door, then walked through my house, surveying the damage. Scratched floors, scuffed walls, mud everywhere. It would cost thousands to repair, but it was worth it. My phone started buzzing, messages from extended family flying in from all directions. Amanda had already posted her version of events, painting herself as the victim of her cruel, heartless brother. I didn't bother reading them all. Instead, I opened my laptop and began drafting a public post of my own, complete with security footage, screenshots of their planning, and a detailed list of every penny they'd borrowed and never repaid. Let them try to spin this. And that, I muttered to myself, is just the beginning. The aftermath was exactly what I expected, a nuclear explosion of family drama. By morning, my post had gone viral within our extended family circles, spawning hundreds of comments and triggering a wave of private messages that ranged from venomous accusations to reluctant admissions of similar experiences with Amanda and her entitlement. Aunt Sarah, who'd always spoiled Amanda rotten, called me in tears. "But she's your sister. How could you embarrass her like this?" The same way she embarrassed herself by breaking into my house, I replied before hanging up. The real surprise came from my younger cousin Michael, who sent me a private message. About time someone stood up to them. Amanda pulled the same stunt with me last year, tried to move her kids into my apartment when Tom lost his last job. Told everyone I was selfish for saying no. I was making breakfast when my doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw Mom standing there alone, clutching her purse like a shield. For a moment, I considered ignoring her, but something in her posture made me pause. She looked defeated. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "Yes. Can we talk?" Her voice was small, nothing like the commanding tone she used yesterday. "Just us. No Amanda. No Dad. Just, please." I studied her for a long moment, then stepped aside. "You have 15 minutes. She walked in, stopping short when she saw the state of the living room. Everything was exactly as they'd left it. Furniture askew, mud tracks dried on the floors, scratches and scuffs everywhere. I hadn't cleaned anything yet. I wanted them to see the damage when they came back for their things. "Oh, Mark," she whispered, "I'm so sorry about the mess." I should have stopped them." "Yes, you should have." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "But you didn't. You never do." She sank onto the edge of my leather armchair, one of the few pieces of my furniture still in its proper place. "I know. I read your posts. All of it. The screenshots, the planning. I had no idea Amanda had been so calculated about it." "Really?" I raised an eyebrow. "Because this isn't new behavior, Mom. She's been doing this her entire life. Taking what she wants, expecting everyone else to accommodate her, playing a victim when called out. And you and Dad have enabled it every step of the way." "We thought we were helping," she said softly. "When you started doing well, making good money, we were so proud. But somewhere along the way, we started taking advantage. I see that now." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Do you?" "Because yesterday you were perfectly fine with her breaking into my house. You were cooking dinner in my kitchen like you owned the place." "I know." She twisted her hands in her lap. "After you posted everything, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the times we've asked you for money, all the times Amanda came to you for help. I found her old bank statements this morning. This caught my attention. And she's been lying about being broke." Mom's voice cracked. "She and Tom, they have money. Quite a bit, actually. But they spend it all on themselves. Expensive clothes, dining out, vacations. Then they come crying to you about not being able to pay their bills." I wasn't surprised, but hearing it confirmed still stung. "And you're just realizing this now?" I should have seen it sooner. She looked up, her eyes wet. "You were always the responsible one. Even as a kid, you worked hard, saved your money, helped around the house. Amanda, we spoiled her, made excuses for her. And now she's a 30-year-old woman who thinks she can take whatever she wants without consequences." I finished. "And you're all surprised when someone finally says no." Mom stood up, walking to the window. "Your father is furious about your post. Says you've humiliated the family. Amanda's threatening to cut you off completely." Cut me off. I actually laughed this time. From what? The privilege of paying their bills? The joy of being their personal bank? Please let them cut me off. "Mark," she turned to face me. "I know we don't deserve it, but is there any way to fix this?" I studied her for a long moment. "That depends. Are you actually sorry for what you did, or just sorry you got caught and called out?" Both, she admitted quietly. I'm sorry we invaded your home. I'm sorry we've taken advantage of your success. And I'm sorry I didn't stop it sooner. I walked to my office and returned with a file. Here's every check I've written to help this family in the past 5 years. Every loan, every bill payment, every emergency that needed fixing. The total is over $200,000. She took the file with trembling hands, flipping through the pages. Her face went pale. I had no idea it was this much. Of course you didn't, because no one ever kept track. No one ever said thank you. It was just expected that I would help because family helps family. I took the file back. Well, guess what? That ends now. What do you want us to do? She asked. I pulled out my phone and showed her the repair estimate I'd gotten this morning. First, Amanda and Tom pay for all the damage they caused yesterday. That's $12,000. $12,000. Custom hardwood floors aren't cheap, Mom. Neither is repairing wall damage or professional cleaning. I scrolled through more photos. Second, I want a payment plan in writing for everything they've borrowed. I don't expect to get it all back, but I want them to acknowledge the debt. She nodded slowly. And third, I met her eyes. I want boundaries, real ones. No more surprise visits, no more emotional manipulation, no more guilt trips about family obligations. I'm done being the family ATM. That's fair, she said quietly. More than fair, actually. One more thing, I added. I want Amanda to take down her social media posts about this. All of them. No more playing the victim, no more spinning stories to make me look bad. Mom reached for her phone. I'll call her right now. No, I held up a hand. I don't want you fixing this for her. She's an adult. She can come to me herself if she wants to make things right. She's stubborn, Mom said carefully. So am I. I checked my watch. Your 15 minutes are up and I have work to do. She stood smoothing her skirt with shaking hands. Will you at least think about forgiving us, eventually? I walked her to the door. Forgiveness is earned, Mom. So far, all I've gotten are excuses. As she stepped outside, she turned back one last time. For what it's worth, I am proud of you, not just for your success, but for standing up for yourself, even if it's against us. I almost smiled. Almost. Thanks, Mom, but actions speak louder than words. Remember that. After she left, I stood in my doorway for a long moment, watching her car disappear down the street. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Amanda, this one less hostile than her previous ones. Can we talk? Face to face. Just us? I typed back a single word. No. Then I turned off my phone, grabbed my tools, and started assessing the damage to my house. It was time to rebuild. Not just my home, but my boundaries. And this time, they would be made of steel. 3 weeks passed, and my house slowly returned to normal. The floors were repaired, the walls repainted, and every trace of Amanda's attempted invasion was erased. But the family drama? That was just reaching its peak. I hadn't expected Mom to actually follow through, but she did. She sent Amanda and Tom the repair bill with a simple message. Pay it, or I'll tell everyone exactly how much money you really have. The payment arrived 2 days later, along with a venomous note from my sister. Happy now? You've turned our own mother against us. I framed it. What I didn't expect was the ripple effect my stand would create. It started with cousin Michael, who finally told everyone about Amanda's attempted takeover of his apartment. Then Aunt Lisa came forward about the emergency loan. Amanda had guilt-tripped out of her last Christmas. Money that apparently funded a weekend spa trip, not the children's medical bills as claimed. One by one, the family secrets started spilling out. Years of manipulation, lies, and financial exploitation, all carefully hidden under the guise of family helping family. Then came the Wednesday that changed everything. I was working from home when my doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw Tom standing there, alone, looking nervous. This was new. He'd never come without Amanda before. What do you want? I asked through the intercom. 5 minutes, he said, running a hand through his thinning hair. Please, Mark. I need to show you something. Against my better judgment, I let him in. He looked different, tired, older somehow, like he aged years in the past few weeks. Make it quick, I said, leading him to the kitchen but not offering him a seat. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking slightly. I need to show you these. Amanda doesn't know I'm here. What he showed me made my blood run cold. Screenshots of conversations between Amanda and her friends, dating back years. They weren't just planning the invasion of my house. They'd been systematically targeting family members, figuring out who had money, who could be manipulated, who was an easy mark. I was apparently their favorite ATM. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked, my voice carefully neutral. Tom looked down, shame written across his face. "Because I can't do it anymore. The lies, the schemes. Do you know she's been hiding money in a separate account? Even from me? All those times we came to you for help, we didn't actually need it." "I know," I said quietly. "Mom found the statements." He laughed bitterly. "Of course she did. But did you know Amanda's been teaching our kids to do it too? I found our oldest practicing crying in the mirror last week. She said, 'Mom says if we cry right, Uncle Mark will buy us anything.'" That hit me like a physical blow. Using it was one thing, but teaching the kids to manipulate people, that was a new low. "I want out," Tom continued. "I've already talked to a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce." I stared at him. "You're serious?" He nodded. "Your stand. It made me realize what I've become. What I've let my kids become. I used to have dreams, you know. I wanted to start my own business. But Amanda always said, 'Why bother when we could just ask you for money?' Those job losses," I said slowly. "Were they really losses?" He had the grace to look ashamed. "Some were. Others. Amanda said it was easier to ask for help if I wasn't working. Made us look more desperate." I should have been angry, but all I felt was tired. "Why now, Tom? Why come clean after all these years?" "Because I saw the kids' Christmas list." He pulled out another piece of paper. "Look who it's addressed to." The list wasn't addressed to Santa. It was addressed to me. Items totaling thousands of dollars with notes like "Cry extra hard" and "Tell him we're starving" written beside them. "They're 9, 7, and 5, Tom whispered. "This isn't normal. This isn't okay." I sat down heavily at my kitchen counter. "Does Amanda know you're here?" "No, she's too busy trying to figure out how to get back into your good graces. She's got this whole plan to make you feel guilty about abandoning the kids." He trailed off. "I can't let her do this anymore. To you, to them, to anyone." I studied him for a long moment. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," he said quickly. "Well, maybe one thing. When I file for divorce, be a witness. These screenshots, the lists, the fake crying. I want custody of my kids. I want to raise them right." I thought about my nieces and nephew, about the kind of adults they'd become under Amanda's influence, about the legacy of manipulation and entitlement that would continue if nothing changed. "Send me everything," I said finally. "Every screenshot, every conversation, every piece of evidence you have. I'll help, but not for you. For them." He nodded, relief washing over his face. "Thank you, and Mark, I'm sorry for everything." After he left, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, scrolling through the screenshots he'd sent. Years of calculated manipulation, all laid bare. The careful planning, the fake emergencies, the orchestrated guilt trips. It was like reading a manual on emotional exploitation. My phone buzzed. "Amanda again. The kids miss you so much. They cry every night asking why Uncle Mark doesn't love them anymore. How can you be so cruel?" I looked at her message, then at the Christmas list Tom had left. The same kids she claimed were crying themselves to sleep were being taught to weaponize those very tears. I took a deep breath and typed, "Game over, Amanda. Tom showed me everything." Her response was immediate. "What are you talking about? What did he show you?" Instead of answering, I started forwarding screenshots to her, to our parents, to every family member she ever manipulated. One by one, in chronological order, showing the systematic way she turned exploitation into an art form. The last thing I sent was a photo of the children's Christmas list. Then I blocked her number. Sometimes I realize the kindest thing you can do for family is to stop enabling their worst instincts, even if it means being the bad guy in their story. I picked up my phone one last time and called Mom. "You should come over," I said when she answered. "There's something you need to see." It was time for the whole truth to come out. All of it. The fallout was nuclear, but not in the way I expected. When Mom saw the evidence Tom provided, especially the children's Christmas list, something in her broke. Not just broke, shattered. "I did this," she whispered, staring at the screenshots. I created this by never saying no, by always making excuses for her. Dad's reaction was even more surprising. He came over after Mom called him, took one look at the evidence, and aged a decade before my eyes. My grandchildren, he said, his voice hoarse. She's teaching them to be exactly like her, I finished quietly. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings and family confrontations. Tom filed for divorce, using the evidence we had to push for emergency custody. Amanda, predictably, went ballistic. She showed up at my house at midnight, pounding on the door and screaming about betrayal and family loyalty. I didn't open the door. I just played the security footage of her performance for her kid's doctor the next day. More evidence for Tom's custody case. But the real change came from my parents. Mom and Dad finally did what they should have done 20 years ago. They stood up to Amanda. We're selling the house, Dad announced at an emergency family meeting. Amanda wasn't invited, but the rest of the family was there. Our retirement fund is gone because we kept bailing out Amanda. We can't keep doing this. I looked at my father, really looked at him, and saw not the intimidating figure of my childhood, but an old man who had finally realized his mistakes. How bad is it? Mom pulled out their financial records. Years of loans to Amanda, credit cards maxed out to fund her emergencies, their savings drained to maintain her lifestyle. They were underwater, drowning in debt they had taken on to enable their daughter's manipulation. Let me see the numbers, I said. They were bad, really bad, but not unfixable. I'll help, I said finally, but this time there are conditions. Dad started to protest, but Mom stopped him. Name them. First, you get financial counseling. Real counseling with professionals I choose. Second, you downsize not because you have to, but because you need to learn to live within your means. Third, and most importantly, you cut off Amanda. Completely. She's still our daughter, Mom whispered. Yes, she is. But enabling her isn't helping her. Look what she's teaching her children. Is that the legacy you want? The room was silent as my words sank in. I'll buy your house, I continued. Fair market value. You can use the money to clear your debts and buy something smaller. But only if you agree to all my conditions. Dad's pride warred with reality on his face. We can't take more money from you. It's not a gift. It's a business transaction, with contracts, terms, and consequences if those terms are broken. They agreed. What choice did they have? 2 months later, my parents moved into a comfortable but modest condo. Their debts were cleared, their spending was under control, and for the first time in decades, they were free from Amanda's manipulation. Tom got full custody. The evidence of Amanda teaching the children to manipulate and lie was too overwhelming for any judge to ignore. She was granted supervised visitation only. As for Amanda, last I heard, she was living with Aunt Sarah, spinning tales about how her cruel brother destroyed her family. But this time, her audience was smaller. This time, people knew the truth. The kids started therapy, real therapy, not the kind Amanda used to fake emergencies. Tom enrolled them in public school, had a steady job, and began teaching them the value of honest work and real relationships. My house is quiet now, sometimes too quiet, but it's a peace I've earned, a solitude that's chosen rather than imposed. Mom and Dad come over for dinner once a week. We're building something new, something based on respect rather than obligation. They're different people now, humbled, yes, but also more genuine. Last week, my youngest niece came to visit with Tom. She hugged me tight and whispered, "I'm sorry I tried to trick you, Uncle Mark. Dad says that's not what family does." I hugged her back. "No, sweetheart, it's not." Later that night, I found a note she'd left on my kitchen counter, a new Christmas list written in careful child's handwriting. "Dear Uncle Mark, I don't need presents. I just want you to be my uncle again. For real this time. Love, Sarah." I pinned it next to Amanda's angry note in my office, a reminder that sometimes the hardest choices lead to the best outcomes. That sometimes saving your family means being strong enough to say no. That real love doesn't need manipulation to survive. And as for me, I'm learning to. Learning that boundaries aren't walls, that standing your ground isn't the same as being alone, and that sometimes the family you save isn't just your own. It's not a perfect ending, but it's a real one, and that's worth more than all the fake tears in the world.